going to kick Read AI Notes out. Hi, Daryl. Hi, John. Hi, Lori. Hey, Michael. Hey, Todd. Hey, Tom. Hi, everybody.
Yeah, I know, but they might as well download it, send it. It's super easy. Yeah.
I'm going to put this up on
mute. Yeah, it's super easy for them.
I'm going to do my best to admit everyone. Hi, everybody. I hope my coworker Emily's here too. I'm doing this on my own. I'm having a flashback to holiday time, you guys, when I had to be the one managing the Zoom. Give me some grace. Hi, everybody. Okay, I'm going to let everyone in. I'm still letting folks in. Hi, everybody. Welcome. So for our new folks, welcome to Life Amplified, which is a Wednesday webinar brought to you by Amputee Aid. For our folks who return with us regularly, our setup might look a little bit different. I'm coming to you from my home office. Emily's coming to you from home as well. Hi, Emily. How are you?
Good. How are you guys?
You're welcome, everyone. And that is because, so happy Wednesday, happy Wear Orange Wednesday for Limb Loss, Limb Difference Awareness Month. And for those of us in Pittsburgh, happy Draft Week, NFL Draft Week. The draft has prevented us from going to our studio. So we are coming to you from our homes instead, and we will be Zooming with you this way. And because of that, we don't have Lucho or Nick behind the screen, everyone. I am manning the Zoom by myself, so pray to whoever or whatever or nothing at all that we don't mess it up too badly, because you know how we are with our IT issues and our tech issues in our organization. But we're going to do our best today. Welcome to everyone. So I think it's 2 o'clock. It's 2 o'clock on the Eastern time zone. So let's get started with Life Amplified. For our new folks, welcome in. Let me tell you a little bit about Life Amplified and Amputee Aid, and then I'll turn it over to my coworker Emily to tell you a little bit about our webinar policies. Before we dive into our session today, which is a big one, this is our Experts Roundtable for Limb Loss, Limb Difference Awareness Month. We have some amazing speakers who are going to be with us answering questions that we have, as well as questions from the group. So we want to treat Limb Loss, Limb Difference Awareness Month in style. And we asked these 3 big heavy hitters in the community to come and talk with us today, and we are fortunate to have them. So for our guest speakers from Slingshot Bionics, Prosthetics Plus, and Amputee Walking School, be on standby. We're going to get to you all in a moment, but we want to start, as we always do, with some introductory information for Life Amplified. I'm Jennifer. I'm the Executive Director for Amputee Aid. Amputee Aid is a Pittsburgh-based nonprofit, a 501c3 nonprofit, thank you very much, that serves folks all over the country and Canada who have limb loss and limb difference. We provide a lot of financial assistance, advocacy, social services, wraparound services, resource navigation. If we can't help you, we'll find someone who can. We use a low barrier access to care model, which means we want to talk, we want to know what your needs are and how we can help. Emily is my coworker. Hi, Emily. How you doing today?
Good. How is everyone? Happy Limb Loss, Limb Difference Awareness Month.
Yes, and happy Draft Week. I miss you. I wish that we were in our studio, and I hope that you're enjoying your time away. But you know, the draft is great for a lot of people. For other people like us, it's somewhat of a pain. Sorry, City of Pittsburgh, because we can't get to our office. So, Emily, tell us a little bit more about what you do for Amputee Aid.
I provide social service, kind of like a wraparound service. I can assist with anything social service like. I can assist in applying for disability, do employment assistance, help you appeal any insurance claims, kind of anything you think you need help with. Hit me up and we can start from there.
Yeah, if you are already working with us, you know how to reach us. If you're new, just go to our website, amputee-aid.com. Click the little blue Get Help button on our website. There's a very short form that you fill out. That information comes to Emily and to me, and we'll set aside some time to talk with you. Now, for our returning guests, you know we like to say hi in the comments and where are you coming to us from? And usually we say how's the weather, but we want to play into the fact that it's NFL draft in Pittsburgh today. And so instead, our question is, who's your team? If you don't watch football, tell me who your friend, family members, neighbor down the street, your enemy from college, whoever. Tell us a team that you like or know of. You all know, say it with me, Detroit Lions is always my bet, okay, from a Detroiter. Emily, you're a Pittsburgh person. Steelers is your team. But tell us in the comments, how are you celebrating the draft? Are you watching the draft? I was going to play the draft tone that goes off every time they pick a player, but I think that might be a copyright thing, so I'm not doing that. But you can play it in your head, okay? And we've drafted 3 experts today. Now, for our new folks, we host Life Amplified every Wednesday at 2:00 Eastern time on Zoom and TikTok. Hi, TikTok friends watching me from the side of my office. Welcome to my office. But this is a freewheeling kind of conversation. So although you're on mute now, if you have questions from our experts or anything that we're talking about, you're welcome to come off of mute, interrupt us, raise the little hand emoji if you want. We'll do our best to monitor the chat, but as I said, I'm doing this on my own, and so give us some grace. We'd love to hear from you all as we're chatting today about Limb Loss, Limb Difference Awareness Month with these 3 experts. We want to make sure that everyone is engaged and enjoys the time today. Now, if you are new, we encourage you to come back every Wednesday at 2:00. If you can't, you can always get the recordings on Fridays. Just register for our webinar right on our website and you will get the recording by email. You can also check out the recording on YouTube. On that point, Emily, there are some few things we always want to tell people about our webinars and our policies. Remind us what they are.
Yes, so this is a safe space, so please just respect everyone's comments and opinions. Just please don't be rude. Don't talk over each other. And then also just know that we are recording, so if you're someone that doesn't want your voice on the internet, just please be mindful of that. You can always come off. You can always put your chat or your comment or your question in the chat, and we will get to that. But yeah, so just be mindful that we are recording. If you don't want your voice on the internet, just please be mindful of that.
Yeah, the recording does capture your voices. So when we send out our seminar on Friday and post to YouTube, your voices will be captured. The comments in the chats, oh, the New York Jets, Dallas Cowboys. Oh yeah, okay, I see some Dallas Cowboy fans in here. The chat will not be on the recording. Your faces and videos or emojis are not on the recording either. But if you're the kind of person who doesn't want your voice on the internet, that's totally fine. We will do our best to monitor the chat as we go along. And I see Deb's not a football fan. Okay, well, that's okay. We'll let you stay. We will let you stay. I added my comment to the chat under the Amputee Aid comment as well, so you can see the kinds of things that we are looking for. But obviously, if you have questions, you're welcome to ask them. Now, we advertise this as our Experts Roundtable. So in April, as you all know, is Limb Loss, Limb Difference Awareness Month. Wednesdays, your Wear Orange Wednesday. For the entire month of April, we have centered our webinars, our Wednesday webinars on this month, on awareness, advocacy, specific issues in the limb loss, limb difference community. And we really wanted to have an experts roundtable with folks who have presented in the past, who had a lot of information to share and who we thought would make for a really big, impactful webinar session. So we have asked Slingshot Bionics, Amputee Walking School, and Prosthetics Plus to join us today to talk about their services, about what the month means to them, and to answer questions for all of you and from us as well. Emily, tell us a little bit more about our guest, Slingshot Bionic.
Yeah, so Jay Martin is a key figure behind Slingshot.
Hey, Jay, I saw Jay on here for a minute. Hi, Jay. I know we got lots of Slingshot people on. Welcome. Go ahead, Emily.
He's known for bringing energy, vision, and practical insight to everything he does. He focuses on innovation and impact, and he helps drive Slingshot's mission forward by connecting ideas with executions. Innovative, and he's also inclusive and focused on making a real difference for people facing physical challenges.
Good. So lots of you have probably seen the advertisements for the adjustable socket, and we've got Tom here who's going to tell us more about it as well. So be on standby if you have questions about that socket. This is the time to ask those questions. Now let me tell you a little bit about another expert we have, which is Todd from Amputee Walking School, our Paralympian. Y'all have heard me reference him as Paralympian Todd. When I first saw him pop up on our webinar a few months ago, I panicked for a minute. It's like, oh my gosh, we have a gold medalist in the room, and he also agreed to come back and talk to us about Amputee Walking School, what he does. Amputee Walking School was founded, was it in the 90s, Todd? You can correct me. We're going to have you talk in a minute, but a while ago, not that you're old, as starting to teach people how to walk and run, and it's become a full operation all over the country. We're going to hear more about that, but I say Paralympian Todd because he is a 1988 gold medalist, world record setting, and now trains people who break his world records, and he'll tell us more about that in a little bit. But Emily, we have one more expert, right?
Yes. So Prosthetics Plus and Michael, they help individuals regain mobility, confidence, and independence through prosthetic care. They use a patient-first approach, and the team focuses on combining advances in technology with compassionate service to meet each person's unique needs.
Yeah, so welcome to all of our experts. I saw some hearts and things, some emojis going up. Welcome to all of you. Thank you for coming in today. We have some questions that we will ask, but y'all, as we're going along, if you have questions, follow-up, comments that you would like to make, as I mentioned, you're welcome to put them in the chat on our Zoom feature. Raise your little emoji hand, I'll try to catch that, or literally just come off of mute and interrupt. To avoid any capturing of super secret conversations, or if you're on your lunch break and you don't want to share some work commentary into the Zoom. If you're not participating directly in our Zoom, please keep yourself on mute. Particularly if you need to take a break somewhere, we don't need to hear toilets flushing or anything like that. Okay, so keep yourself on mute unless you actually want to be part of our conversation, but we would love for you to be part of our conversation. You're welcome to use that chat feature as well. I saw some comments in here already about where you're coming to us from. Jen, thank you, for example, coming to us and being a New York Giants fan. I am told that that the Giants are their backup team. So if the Steelers aren't winning, then they opt for the Giants instead of the Eagles. But like I said, I'm a Detroit Lion fan through and through from the time I was born. But that's what I've been told. So please, if you haven't already introduced yourself in the chat, do that. Tell us where you're coming from and who your favorite team is in honor of this being NFL Draft Week. All right, for our experts, are you all ready to get started? Yay, okay. So we like to do things unscripted, as many of you already know, so we don't have an order of priority, but I'm gonna launch the first question, and Michael, Tom, or Todd, you're welcome to answer however you want, just not all at once. I would love for you each to spend a little bit of time introducing yourself as well as your organization a little bit more to our group. Who would like to get started? I saw Tom come off of mute first, so Tom, I'm going to volunteer you. Tell us a little bit more about yourself as well as Slingshot.
Is my mic working properly?
Sound great.
Awesome. Well, I'm Tom Allred. I'm a husband, father of 6, stepfather of 3, grandfather of 28, and great-grandfather of 6. I'm a 76-year young man, and I've been a bilateral above-the-knee amputee since August of 1961. So I've kind of lived this journey for 60 plus years. I've been seen prosthetics evolve, but I've also seen how slow access to better solutions can be. Today, I work with Slingshot Bionics in Oklahoma City, helping other amputees navigate something I understand personally. You know, the daily challenge of getting a comfortable, functional fit is so important, and it's hard to come by. What we offer is a fully adjustable fabric prosthetic socket, which means instead of being stuck with a rigid fit, people can actually adjust their socket as their body changes throughout the day, let alone day to day. For me, Limb Loss and Limb Difference Awareness Month is about making sure people understand that limb loss isn't just a medical condition, it's a daily lived experience. And one of the biggest barriers we still face is access. Too many people don't know what options exist, or they're limited by insurance policies that haven't kept up. What I hear most from people who have received a Slingshot Bionic socket is simple. They feel relief, more comfort, more confidence, more freedom to live their lives. And that's really what it's about. If I could leave you with one thought, it's this: advocate for yourself, ask questions, learn your options, and don't be afraid to push for better, because better does exist and we deserve to access it.
Wow. Okay. Well, that's the end of the webinar. Tom summarized everything for us. You're all free to go back. Sorry, Michael and Todd. That's it. He just stole the whole show. Thank you, Todd. What a way to start. Okay, Michael or Todd, I'm not sure which one of you wants to follow that, but who would like to go next and introduce yourself and more about your organization?
Well, I will butt in here real quickly and admit that I'm involved in radio. Ta-da!
Okay. Uh-oh. We got to do better. Emily and I are pretend talk show hosts. Now we actually got to try to take it seriously. All right. Michael, I saw you come off of mute, and then Todd, you'll be our finale. Go ahead, Michael. Let's start by you telling us about you and your organization.
I make no guarantees that my speech will be anything better than that, because I've not been in radio at all. But my name is Michael Schmidt. I'm a certified prosthetist orthotist with Prosthetic Plus. What Prosthetic Plus is a central fabrication site for fabricating prosthetics and orthotics throughout the nation. We try to marriage new technology with traditional values and fabrication methods. So, and what I do is I do all the digital design and 3D printing, all the prosthetics and digital modification for prosthetics and orthotics as well, using my clinical expertise to be able to do those types of things. So with what Tom said, as far as, what amputee, as far as limb loss difference month means to me, is definitely along the lines of what Tom said, as far as, having that access and knowing that there's other things that are out there. So we do 3D printing for inner prosthetic liners, prosthetic sockets, and working with different clinicians to try to make something that's unique and special for that individual. Whether that be for comfort, whether that might be for cosmetics, or what that might be for a specific activity that individual has in mind. Just trying to expand the options that different clinicians can have for their patients, and working hand in hand with them.
Yeah, and without breaching confidentiality, I will share with all of you that Michael recently designed from the ground up a swim flipper for one of our clients, and it is super cool. And in
should be shipping today.
Oh, see, super fast too.
I was really hoping to have a nice picture of everything kind of assembled, everything like that. And my guy that's putting it all together, he's also Mike over at the site. He was like, I'll try to get it together for you. He showed me a couple different things today as far as getting it all together to get out the door to get down to him in Atlanta. So hopefully be shipping today.
Yes, and we'll talk more about that in a little bit when we get to our questions about kind of specific things that you all do. But I just want to share up front that not only did he design it, but in coordination with the prosthetist, which is very, very important, and our client or their patient. And I will say for about a tenth of the price I thought it was going to be, like extremely affordable. Okay. So I'm not going to quote and promise that for everybody from Michael, but I was really surprised in a pleasant way, right, Emily, with the cost of that for the utility that I'm getting. Now, where's my Paralympian Todd? Okay. Todd, now I put the burden on you. I said, you're our finale for our first question. Gold medal winning Paralympian Todd. Tell us more about you and your organization.
Yeah, I'm Todd Schaffhauser from the Amputee Walking School. I was a Paralympic gold medalist from 1988 Paralympics. I went to 3 different Paralympics, was able to medal in all of them, but I was a cancer survivor. I was a osteogenic sarcoma patient back in the mid-'80s, and sport was just part of my recovery. And then after I competed in my first Paralympics, just by the visibility of running and running the way I did, step over step, it led to the Amputee Walking School kind of being born, just being asked by prosthetic companies and physical therapists around the country of, how did you do that? So my first walking school was back in 1988. I was also going to physical therapy school at the time and being able to just help people for the last 38 years. And I do the walking school all over the country. I work in subacute rehab. That's where I'm actually doing the Zoom from today, one of our facilities here for Care Right, the Care Right Network. And so I get to work with people from the very beginning now. I get to work with runners. I get to work with people, diabetic vascular patients. Oldest person I ever worked with she was 101.5, and to get her up and walking. So it's been an amazing career of, the last 38 years. I'm only 41 years in the amputee, so Tom got me beat. That's something I don't find too many people that are, have amputations longer than I have. But yeah, Limb Loss, Limb Difference Awareness Month, to me, it means, just a chance to celebrate your success, just the resources, support, education, and all the things that have come about from this month. And every year it just means more and more to people, and we get a chance to celebrate. And by doing things like this, I thank you, Jen, for having this, available for that patients can come on and learn more about what's available to them. And because it is all about education, you have this happen to you, it's not expected, and then what do we do next? And that's the thing about all the different resources out there to be able to help someone to navigate through this recovery and to be able to get back to living a productive life, which is what we all want.
Yeah, wonderful. And so can you all see why we said we have 3 big heavy hitting kind of organizations on our expert roundtable, right? I'm seeing some head shaking yes, lots of head shaking yes. And if you're interested, each one of these organizations did a full hour with us on a webinar, which is recorded and on YouTube. So we're going to squeeze them in for this 1 hour and they're going to share their time. But please, if you want to know more, spend some time on our YouTube page, really listening to each of their individual sessions as well. For this next question, Tom, I'm going to start with you because you alluded to this when you mentioned access to care. You all told us a little bit about obviously yourselves and your organizations and the importance of Limb Loss, Limb Difference Awareness Month. But Tom, you had mentioned something that I want all of us to talk about, which is access and barriers to access to care. So Michael and Todd, start formulating your answers. But Tom, I'm wondering if you could, with respect to Slingshot Bionics particularly, what does that mean to you? What kind of patients do you see who are struggling to access care, specifically sockets? And how does Slingshot make it easier to access that care?
Well, as you know, we do a lot of targeted advertising, and we have a lot of response. It's a very busy Monday morning, I might say, for sure, each week. But the bottom line is that we want to be available to everybody to answer their questions. It's not a sales pitch. It's not an answering questions necessarily and only about Slingshot Bionics. The truth of the matter is we get a lot of folks who are just investigating because they're in the hospital waiting for their amputation tomorrow morning, or it was just 2 days ago and they're still a little foggy, but they've got some questions. And I'm here to tell you, with 65 years as an amputee, I can answer their questions. In fact, a very brief conversation allows that, I can tell a story that will actually answer questions they didn't know they had yet. And that's part of what we all try to do. Everybody on the team that receives those incoming calls has this kind of experience from the level that we can help them anticipate things they don't even know yet to ask. And our personal goal is to create a relationship with each and every person that reaches out to us. Now, what we offer is unique. It's unusual. It's not the everyday, and in a lot of ways, it's a big plus. I have walked in everything from Ohio Willowwood forward. Okay, so I completely understand exactly how exciting it is to have what's available now in general in the adjustable socket world. I think we've got something going for us that nobody else does, and that's my prejudice. I'll stick with that, no problem. But the bottom line is, I tell people all the time, if this is not for you, I'll help you find what is. And that's the way we function. I mean, yeah, we would love to think that we can bring a better quality of life, a day-to-day appreciation for their equipment. And that's what we try to do. But our mission is to help amputees, period. Yeah. And that includes family members. This is one of the things, in my personal experience, I've been involved in trying to get organized support groups in areas where they don't have them that would include the surgeon, the prosthetist, the physical therapist, the patient, and make that team provide the best possible outcome. It's unfortunate so often that the surgeon ducks back out and doesn't want to be involved in the rest of it, and there's all kinds of psychology behind that. It doesn't matter. When we can put it together with everybody involved to support the amputee, their outcome is much better. And from Slingshot Bionics, that's what we try to do. We'll connect people with other organizations that are going to be able to help them to appreciate their life. And we hope that our socket technology is a big factor in
my
that.
Wednesday webinar.
Yeah. And not only that, but really to help improve the quality of life, too, of your patients by giving them information and support and really focusing on a team effort. Tom, I'm thinking of kind of two things as you're talking, one of which is, that saying, you don't know what you don't know. Sometimes you don't know what questions to ask. And it really takes someone like you with lived experience who can not only answer the questions of prospective patients, but also alert them to things that maybe they aren't even thinking about yet or are aware of because they don't have the lived experience yet that you have with I'll say decades of lived experience. The other thing I'm thinking about is my grandmother's experience as a bilateral amputee. We didn't know anybody who was an amputee, didn't know what questions to ask, who to connect her with. And although I don't have her lived experience, I observed as an outsider very clearly that she wasn't happy and was because she didn't have that connection, or someone who could guide her through the process. And it seems to me that part of what Slingshot does is not only make a resource that's affordable and helpful to a lot of people, but also there's that care side of it too, and that educational side of it too. Am I right about that, Tom?
Yes, precisely. And literally, I can promise you that it may not be every single day, but it's going to be more than 5 times a week that I talk to someone that just had given up. They may have been 5 years, 10 years in a wheelchair, given up. Now they're getting excited about the possibility because their one memory is that they tried out something. It was painful. It was disorienting. It didn't seem to do exactly what everybody even said it would. And they just threw in the towel. And now they get a little bit of hope. They see something that says, well, maybe this is smoke and mirrors. Maybe it's magic and I'll be disappointed, but I've got to ask the questions. Yeah. And, if we can help anybody get out into the sunlight, I say, vitamin D is important, literally, but just the idea of so many people will tell me, I haven't even been outside my house ever since COVID and they'll deliver groceries. I haven't been outside my house in almost a year. And that breaks my heart. I'm sorry. Personally, I want to figure out how I can go on a road trip and go by their place and take them to the Dairy Queen or whatever and get an ice cream. It's just, it's sad. And if we can help foster that kind of a feeling in the industry, not competitively, we all want to help get to the same point. Let's face it, everybody that's in prosthetics started out with the idea of let me figure out how I can be the good guy that helps somebody get over pain or get their activity back or get confidence again. It's very important. And in my heart, it's the bottom line.
Yeah. Yeah. And let me see some yeses in the chat from anyone who's had that experience where A, you've not known what to ask, or B, you felt alone. You didn't know where to go or how to access care or who to go to, or you had that homebound feeling. I saw some head shaking in agreement, Tom, as you were explaining. And I think that's really an important piece of this month, and awareness for this month is not just the physical challenge, but also the emotional and the connection, the lack of that social connection with people that goes along many times with being someone with limb loss or limb difference.
Well, and a big factor that most people, even in the industry, aren't quite aware of, and that is that if a family member suffers an amputation, the entire family suffers a trauma. We don't give support to the rest of the family like we should, which will then support the amputee better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And Jeffrey, thank you for sharing this comment. I hope it's okay to share it with everyone else from the chat. Jeffrey, I had a meeting yesterday where several participants were there, unable to wear a prosthetic, frustrated, and stuck at home, unable or unwilling to leave their home. Yeah, common experience. Thank you, Tom, for sharing. And beyond deck, we've got more questions for you. But Michael, I want to go to you next. Slightly different, but also still talks about quality of life, access to care and supplies and resources and the ability to enjoy your life again. Maybe we can start with our shared client who wanted to swim. So talk to us about what you do at Prosthetic Plus and how you tackle access and make access and quality of life better for our folks with limb loss and limb difference.
Yeah, absolutely. As far as, working with that individual's, prosthetist that he has been working with for several years and is very comfortable with as well, as far as that relationship that bond that he has with her, and being able to work with her and say, hey, okay, like, what can we do? He's, avid swimmer, wants, has a pool in his backyard, and his insurance wasn't going to be covering a specific water prosthesis for him. What can we do that could possibly get him in the water again? So, I was able to work with her, get the scans and the molds of what she's already has done for a comfortable prosthesis with him, and then work towards making this water foot. And actually, we were bopping ideas back and forth between myself and her to figure out, okay, what could be a good option for him. Now you could still, wear these in the water, be able to pop them off fairly easily. And he's a relatively good, mechanical individual, it seems, and be able to trust him with an Allen wrench to be able to pop something off, pop something on, and work with, and then getting all that together, looking at what already has been made for individuals that have been wanting to get into a pool, and say, okay, how can we make this exactly for that person? And making the I'll call it the stomper flipper is what myself and her kind of talked about it, and hopefully in the next couple meetings we can have the finished product and see how that works out for him, and be able to go from there too. But yeah, so that was really cool to be able to work with her, but just knowing that there's individuals that are out there that and different clinicians that need to know about different technologies too, because and finding different partners like a company like Prosthetic Plus or a company like Slingshot that have a different option for individuals, and having that clinician being able to maybe get outside their comfort zone and be able to say, hey, you know what, we've kind of tried something for John Doe, but that didn't work out, and we tried something for Jane Doe, and maybe that didn't work out. What else can we possibly do? And having different options for individuals and newer technologies that are out there, that could be a possible route for that individual. So just knowing that, hey, there's and talking, having that good open conversation with their clinician, saying, hey, I don't know if this is working out, could we maybe try something different? And having the courage of that clinician to be able to do that as well. And that's kind of something that I was even working with her, be like, hey, let's just go for this, let's try this, let's see what happens. And that's something that you just gotta maybe have to do every now and then, is just to take that little bit of leap of faith and try it. As a clinician myself, I definitely have gone down that route with different amputees that I have assisted with, like, hey, you know what, I kind of want to try this. Do you trust me enough to try this out? And is it going to work? Maybe. We don't know. We won't know until we know. Kind of what you mentioned earlier, and being able to go down something along outside the box thinking is something that I do enjoy greatly about my job, and being able to really think outside the box and do some different things.
Now, Michael, for folks who have not maybe seen your recorded session yet, I want to emphasize that although we're talking about, I would call them accessories, it's probably not the technical term, but a swim flipper. Prosthetic Plus 3D prints all kinds of things. Sockets, covers. Oh, he's going to show us some stuff. Okay, I love the show and tell. Okay, tell us a little bit more so folks can visualize.
I was with you. I got some samples back home once I was up at the main site. So, everyone kind of thinks about different 3D printing and that kind of stuff, different hobbyist printers and filament printing, but that's something that we do, but we kind of focus a little bit more into powder-based printing, which can do a lot of very unique geometries inside of a prosthesis. Cool. To do different thicknesses for different flexibilities, to do different cushionings as well, as far as on the distal end, different things that we can do with those types of things. And then
Michael,
also, yes, sir.
If I can just interrupt you for just a second, unblur your background, and we'll be able to see that better.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Hey, I appreciate that, bud.
Show us all the secret stuff that you blurred out, so we can see. I want to see, because this is. And some of it's like if you want to be super creative and have cosmetic things. Some of it is just for better fit. There's all different options. Yeah, let's take a look. If you want something super cool and fancy, there you go.
So as far as different things like that, and to be able to do different geometries and really unique latticing. And then also what we've been seeing a lot lately too is repeatability and working towards a digital workflow. I help out with a lot of clinicians to try to get to that point as well, to try to get to a point where it's not just all plaster and plastics. So working towards getting towards a digital workflow, to have a timeline for their patient to be able to say, okay, Jane's in 15, 16 ply a sock, everything else going pretty dang good. What can we do then to reduce that and keep them going as well, and have a faster turnaround for that patient and easier workflow for that clinician as well, because everyone's busy. Everyone has different clients that they've been working with and trying to help out with as well. So it's helpful for me because I used to be a clinician. I still am a clinician to then, help them out with their workload as well.
Yeah. And so speaking from the nonprofit side of things, where we look at finances and are super sensitive to finances, generally speaking, efficiency means less expensive, not all of the time, but there's also that that savings, and you can be more efficient and get things right the first time, or maybe not, 6 times later. So thank you for that, Michael. And by the way, I want to share April's comment. Thank you for saying this, April. So good to have a prosthetist that understands the need for different people, because not every amputee is the same in their own residual limb. All limbs are not cookie cutter. Thank you, Michael, for having that mindset. Yes.
No, I always thought when I was seeing patients, it's the effort that I can put in is going to go into that leg for that individual. It's all the effort that I can put into it. It's going to help them out. Yeah. And I always like, I'm never the smartest individual in the room. I want to be I want to be the individual has the best resources in the room. Yeah. Because if I don't know the answer, I want to find out that answer for that individual.
I love that. Yes, we love that. I see lots of people shaking their head. Yes. And one, April also said she's interested in that socket. April, we will connect you with Michael. Okay. You got to go through your prosthetist.
Got to go through your prosthetist as far as that
But if you want that one, he could do pink glitter, whatever you want. Okay. So before we go to Todd, as we're wrapping up with you, Michael, I'm just now realizing, is that a Green Bay Packers hat you're wearing on a Detroit Lions Zoom? Okay. I'm going to mute you. Okay. Okay.
You're in trouble now.
Where's my Tums? I need some Tums. All right. Thank you, Michael. Okay, Todd, for you, access to care and quality of life is like ingrained in the mission of Amputee Walking School, right? So tell us a little bit more about why Amputee Walking School was founded and what you do to make access and quality of life better, not only for the amputees, but also on the clinicians side of things too, because it's both. Tell us more.
Yeah. Well, it was founded for a need that, when I was first running and people want to know, like I said, how do you do that? I wanted to be able to show them how I learned. And what I was able to do is to not only put together a protocol to teach others to run, it was something that was a protocol to teach everybody just how to do more things, just learning how different muscle groups work and how to really control the prosthesis. And, my goal in working in rehab is to help that person to get out of the house, to go into the community, to be able to walk more. When they come to the walking school, they have to do all that. They have to get out of the house, get into the car, find transportation, and that's all part of the accessibility to get out and we start to do more things. And what I've learned by doing this, I've worked with over 30,000 amputees, is that a lot of people have a lot of different things they want to do, and it's not something that is so just as simple as just wanting to walk. They want to be able to maybe hike again, or one person wanted to do leg press again. So it's something that just to find, what I learned in the last 38 years is that when something is important to somebody, that they will move heaven and earth to make it happen. And my job is to find out what that is, so I can be able to tap into that to help them to be more productive in their daily life. So when they come, they have to understand is there's more than just outpatient therapy and home care therapy. There's the beyond that, which is wellness, and they have to do things on their own. So when I train and teach physical therapists, I teach all aspects, home care, inpatient, outpatient. I teach the aides that work with the older patients at home. They're very important because without them knowing how to put on a prosthesis or what exercises to do, something as simple as sit to stand at the kitchen sink, if you can't stand up, you're not going to be able to walk. So it's to be able to help them to just be more active. As far as the prosthetic side, I'm like the watchdog. I'm the advocate because my motto is always no days off. So when I'm working at inpatient rehab, I got to make sure that the device is working every single day. There's volume changes, there's things that are going to happen. It's a new patient learning. So keeping in contact with the prosthetist and the team, therapist, patient, prosthetist, that's very, very important to have success, because on the inpatient side, you don't have a lot of time. People think they have forever. No, you don't really have a lot of time to work with somebody. So we got to get them ready so that when they go to home care, when they go to outpatient, they're just more ready to do that. And then when they leave outpatient therapy, they come to the Amputee Walking School, wherever the program is, and they just learn to do more. And that's my motto is always, people always say, is what exercise should I do? The exercise is simply do more. If you want to learn to walk upstairs, you got to walk upstairs. If you want to go up and down a ramp, you got to practice walking up and down a ramp.
Yeah.
There's no magical thing that we can teach you on these certain activities. You got to just practice the activity, and repetition is the key. So we got to get you ready on the prosthetic side and on the therapy side, the training side, to do those repetitions, because that's the key. If you're going to be walking, I said this in the last hour long we did, but as a below the knee amputee, it's like 6,000 steps a day is the big goal. Above knee amputee, about 4,000 steps a day. And I've been tracking people's steps for the last 15 years, and these numbers are about right. So we got to help people stay on track with that. And, when I had a coach and I was running, I had a coach that helped me with my daily and my weekly goals, but who helps us in our daily life, And so this is where all of us as a team to be able to help that person to be able just to do more is very, very important. So the access is to try to get as much rehab as you can and try to just find out and there's many different programs out there that can help us to just to do more stuff.
Yeah. And one thing, Todd, that really struck me about your model is you take the amputee where you find them. You train them based on what prosthetic device they have now and what their abilities are now. Not everyone has to meet the standard of being a Paralympian, which is great. You train those people too. But your model is really about taking people as you find them with the resources that they have now and training them on that. Am I right about that?
Yeah. So I don't change people's knees, sockets, feet. They got to learn to do what they need to do on the device that they have. When someone goes to a running clinic and they change the foot and change the knee and they run at that particular event, but then what happens when they go home? I was taught to run on my walking leg, and it's something where it's just the techniques of learning how to do all these different activities you want to do. You need to do it on the leg you're going to wear it every day. Now things have changed. There's so many different, like a swim leg, like swimming. I'm anti-swim. I don't even know how to swim, but it's something where having a device like Michael's made for that gentleman that wasn't available 40 years ago. So it's something that's just incredible now. So. But like I said, when someone is wanting to do something, they will move heaven and earth to make it happen. And how can we help them to make that happen? That's our job. That's our goal.
Yeah. Now, the other thing that struck me, Todd, about your model is the beauty of training the clinicians as well, because then they get to take that knowledge and share it with other people. There's like this built-in sustainability about your program. Am I right about that?
Yeah, so all my world records were broken by people that have come to an amputee walking school. And I met the athletes, that I trained one day, whether it was in France or Switzerland or wherever. And people always ask is, how did that happen? Well, because I trained the trainers. I trained them what to do, and then they were able to take over and practice with them. And then when I saw them next was in competition. So if you train the trainers, it's going to help, like when I leave an amputee walking school in a certain city or state, I want to leave behind a model of what they can continue with so that the walking school can live on every day, not just when I come back in town.
Yeah. Now, you have a great website, and you list kind of where the schools are. Mike, we'll come to you in a minute. But,
sorry.
If people want to join the school, like how do they find out? Can anyone just sign up for it? Or do you have to be nominated? How does that happen?
No, you just go to Amputee Walking School. I got the schedule that's on there. I actually updated the walking school. I'm trying to make it more action oriented.
Yeah.
So it's going to be more updates, every week. But there's some programs that are listed. But that's where you go, amputeewalkingschool.com. And if you want to track your steps, you go to awssteps.com. And that's where people you'll see from all over the country are tracking their steps daily. And the whole goal of tracking your steps is to get you to commit to doing it. And then you see the success. And now when you track your steps, you have to set a goal. So the goal is the lowest is 250,000 steps for the year, which is 700 steps a day, which means you're a household ambulator. And our goal is to get you to double that to be a community ambulator.
Yeah. Now, for amputees, is there any cost for them to participate in one of your schools?
For amputees, it's been free for 38 years.
Hey,
all they have to do is come.
We love that. Now, if you do want to get into swimming, I know a guy named Michael Schmidt who can print out, if you go through your prosthetist, he can print you
I'm not a swimmer either, but.
But Michael, did you have more that you wanted to say? I cut you off there a little bit ago.
No. Todd, where are you based out of again, sir?
I'm in New York.
You're in New York. Do you ever go kind of towards Midwest area or anything like that? As far as I have some good connections with some different physical therapy schools in Wisconsin. that could be as far as you talk about training the trainer, and it'd be really kind of cool to maybe collaborate with you and maybe with them as well, different schools, to do some sort of because they're always looking for new advancements. Actually, the last place that I was at in La Crosse has a physical therapy school there, and we actually set up a program with the physical therapy students to be able to do like walking courses and walking sessions at the university at their beautiful track facilities to do those types of things. So it'd be really cool to, I don't know, I wouldn't want.
No, the answer is yes. Yeah, I do. I do programs all over the country. I was just in Texas last week, in Dallas and Houston, and the schools. Next week, I'm going to Columbia University teaching the therapy students. So I do that every year, and just trying to reach out to more therapists that can see and meet amputees before they get out into their actual job. They're going to be able to understand the technology, and because it's very different. Like today, they got powered knees, and these powered knees versus a microprocessor knee are very different. For a bilateral, and Tom would appreciate this, is that if you had a bilateral above knee amputee and you can get them to stand up independently on day one, you can do that now with powered knees. But the therapists have to know what it's all about and how to help that patient. And the socket has to fit. So this is a very key thing. The socket, is not fitting properly, then you're going to have days that you can't do things. So it's very important. It's all connected.
If you ever want to come to Wisconsin, you let me know, sir.
Now, Todd.
I was there, had cheese. I love the cheese there.
All right, but we just don't love the Packers. I need to slip that in, okay? Cheese is great. The beer is great. Packers, no. Sorry, Michael. Now, Todd, the socket fitting is a perfect segue back to Tom for our next question. Now, everybody, I knew this was going to go fast. We only have 15 minutes left of our session. If you want to ask questions of any of our experts, now is the time, okay? You can put them in the chat. We'll try to read them there. Put your little hand emoji up, or just interrupt us, okay, as we're going to our last round of questions for Tom, Michael, and Todd. Tom, let's start with you. I'd love for you, or really any of your friends from Slingshot who might be joining us today, share with us some of the feedback you have received from patients about Slingshot, the socket, how it has improved their quality of life, and how it has improved things like fit, as Todd was alluding to. Share with us some of the feedback that you've received.
Yeah, the very things Todd was talking about were ringing bells with me from multiple phone calls a day. My experience, my body personally, I shrink throughout the day, period. I'm active all day, every day. I did 12 years in the auto body business and 34 years in insurance claims. I've been busy working, supporting my family. And what I knew was if my legs fit in the morning, they were going to be falling off in the afternoon. That's just the way it was. Yes, you can apply socks to get a different fit, but the more sock layers that I ever put on, the more I felt like I was walking in sand. I no longer felt the foot hitting the ground. I wasn't as stable. I didn't understand why I couldn't do that. Well, this socket technology answers that because the adjustability is micro adjustability, very fine little tweaks to keep you right in that sweet spot. I tell people on the phone, I have a 7 a.m. fit at 4 p.m. every day. And you can't, unless you're an amputee, you can't appreciate what I just said. Every amputee that hears it is just like, well, wow. And that's what it comes down to. I've had other adjustables. I've been doing this. I found out that they were making adjustable sockets in the world in 2015 at the Amputee Coalition Conference. And I was stunned because that was a great answer for me. But this system, compared to the others that I've tried, is stunning from the viewpoint that, and I can only describe it as a caress. It doesn't squeeze me. It doesn't pinch me as I'm tightening it up. It is a hug or a caress. And, a lot of people kind of marvel at the comments. So many of the people making videos when they get a delivery, nobody's paid to do that. It's a case of they stand up, walk around the clinic, and they're just amazed. And somebody says, would you like to make a testimonial video? The thing is, they say, I feel like I got my foot back again. The truth is, they finally feel a solid connection to the foot hitting the floor, and that translates in their brain to a new level of proprioception. which is exactly what you want if you're going to be a public ambulator, if you're going to get out of the house and just do things, if you want to get back on the golf course, or you want to figure out how to get down to the edge of the stream to do your fishing, that's necessary. And it just works that way. This technology, for me, provides the most stability. And it seems like it should be just the opposite. A fabric socket? Are you kidding me? I should be sloppy in it. But, you know, when a fabric is like seatbelt material, it is a little different, but it is nonetheless friendly to the body, and it is fabric.
Yeah, now we had a question come in for you, and thank you for asking this question, Liz. I know the answer, but I'll punt it to you, Tom. Is the Slingshot socket covered by insurance?
Yeah, thank goodness. Yeah. In fact, the coding for the Slingshot socket really presents itself the same as a traditional socket. The Medicare, I've got a supplement with Medicare, and neither one of them balked on it at all. Now, there are some insurance companies that are critical about coding. And the truth of the matter is, even the codes that some of the prosthetists are getting kicked back probably wouldn't be kicked back if the physician writing the medical treatment notes accompanying the prescription would mention the need for overcoming volume change. If daily volume change is mentioned in that treatment, particularly for a diabetic, if they're getting rubbing and getting blistering and so forth and so on, that's just asking for trouble. And this socket system is the answer for that, because you've got a good fit all day long. And that means you're not going to get tissue breakdown, and that's going to save you a trip to the doctor for some other reason.
Yeah, great. Thank you for sharing that, Tom. And I will say from experience from our clients who are working with Slingshot that they've got a team that will help submit those insurance claims. They can see what's covered and help you navigate that too, which is very, very helpful. Now, Michael, I want to go to you next, and we actually also have a question for you. So first, my question, share with us some of the feedback you've received from the patients that you've helped. And also, Blake's question is, specifically for swim fins, do you need a prescription for a swim fin?
So as far as a swim fin or a swim prosthesis, if you're going to be working with Amputee Aid, probably not. But as far as, it's always, that's a tough question with that kind of thing, because it is going to be a little bit up to the clinician as well, as far as, it's always a liability thing. It does help with that, where if you do have a prescription from your physician to help with some of the liability factors for it, it is always a good thing to do, to have a prescription for it. Is your insurance going to cover it? Possibly not, and probably not as far as that goes. But then as far as options for self-pay or having an option for, a sport group like Amputee to help you out with that kind of thing could be something that could be in your wheelhouse for it. And then to answer your other question, Jennifer, as far as, I don't hear from patients directly because I do work with their prosthetists, but as far as something that I've heard back from different clinicians for a lot of our liners and a lot of our processes that we've been doing with it have been good for overall fit and comfort. With the latticing padding that we've been doing for that has been really good for it. And then also one thing that we've been doing a lot of are partial feet. A lot of individuals, especially different prosthetic fabricators, big names, have stopped doing some of their fabrications and products for partial foot amputees. So we've had a very large uptick in our fabricating for partial feet for 3D printing, because the products that are out there from large prosthetic fabricators and suppliers aren't there anymore. So to be able, and then a lot of the 3D printed partial feet that we've been doing are very similar feel and function to those previous products. So that's one thing that I've been seeing a lot of from different clinicians. Like, yeah, it says it felt just like his Dicor foot, which doesn't mean much to anybody else probably here, but it's a foot that was specifically made for partial feet individuals that is no longer in production. So it's something that just wasn't very feasible for the company that was making that foot, so they don't make it anymore. So we've been kind of taking the mantle and making those types of things.
The word I'm thinking about, Michael, as you're describing this, and also the feedback that we've observed from our clients is awe, which is, I want something made that doesn't exist, and Michael can make it. Or what I want no longer is being made, but Michael can make it. And it's like, it's cool, but also brings kind of joy. Like I got what I wanted. And in some ways, I think you are both a clinician and an expert, but also an artist. Like you have to have this kind of healthy mix of all those things, right? With what you do.
It's been a lot of fun. I always tried to think outside the box as a clinician, and had a lot of patients that, we tried a lot of different things that just, didn't really exist. I can think of a few different pediatric patients that I've assisted over the years that, specific things where it's like, it's just a tiny little thing where it's like, well, I know these people pretty well. I made her other arm. We're just gonna make something for her, and just literally kind of mad scientist stuff in the back lab to be able to make those types of things. So it's been a lot of fun for that kind of stuff. And I was always just kind of like a why not kind of clinician. Like, well, why not?
Yeah.
What the heck? What's why not? Why can't we do that?
Yeah.
So it's something that I have brought with me to Prosthetic Plus to say, hey, you know what? And I have those conversations a lot with different clinicians, like, hey, I got this guy, or hey, I got this lady. And it's like, what do you think we can do? And it's like, let's try something. Let's figure something out. Because it's just trying something outside the box is really I feel like it's something I do 2 or 3 times a day.
You're clearly good at it. You're clearly good at it. And Liz, thank you for sharing that comment about your daughter.
I'm good at failing. I'm really good at failing. I'm really good at figuring out, kind of the Thomas Edison kind of thing, however many ways a light bulb doesn't work, to try to figure something out.
And that's how you learn. That's how you learn. And Liz, as I was saying, thank you for sharing that comment about your daughter. Contact us at Amputee Aid because we can put you into contact with all 3 of these experts. And I think that she would probably benefit from all of them. As we are wrapping up, kind of winding down our session, everyone, we're going to end our questions with Todd. Similar question to you, which is to share with us some of the feedback that you've received both from amputees and clinicians. And as you're answering that question, can we start with this? I would love if you could share this. Michael said something that reminded me of you, which is why not? And it reminded me of the story you told us when we had our hour-long session together, where your trainer was originally just training you how to walk and then said, now you're going to run. Why not? Like and so there was that kind of like attitude from the get-go, like, how about we just run now? And that was kind of, I want you to share with us that story, how you actually became a Paralympian runner, and the impact that your coach had on you, and also some of the feedback that you've received from folks who go through amputee walking school.
Yeah, well, first for Michael, partial foot prosthetics heavily needed. I see many, and there's nothing really out there anymore for them. So, got to think outside the box. Yeah, my therapist became my track coach. When I was recovering from like chemotherapy, my body was just depleted, and I could hardly walk 10 feet when I first met my therapist. And then I was lucky; I was able to get a lot of therapy because it was back in the late '80s. And then when therapy was over, I was ready to go on with my life. But my therapist said, well, why don't you do more? And he signed me up for a competition for track and field and to do 100 meters out in Nashville, Tennessee. And I just learned to run, 2 car lengths in his parking lot. And he's like, no, you got 3 months to train. I'm no longer your physical therapist. Now I'm your track coach. So having someone there to help, to show me the pathway. And even though it was all new and different and we had to figure it out, we had to think outside the box. How do we do this? And we did it. And we just got on the treadmill. We started to walk fast. And then that turned into a run. And then how does it affect, the prosthetics? I went through many different prosthetic breakages, socket designs, and trying to figure it all out. But then I figured it out. And then I was able to show people just how do you do it and then cut through all that, frustration of how do I get to the point of where you're at, where you just run every day. And I was able to do that, to sharing it. When people come to the program, they're just so appreciative of just having someone be there to help them. And when they keep coming back and I see the success of how they just, doing more, it's just incredible. I got people that come to the walking school that have been like 20 times and they now turn into what I call them junior trainers. The next part of them helping is they help me help other people. So it's a great just experience to work with people and when they appreciate it. Family members are very important, like Tom was saying. I get them involved. They're trainers. They become part of that program. They're part of the lab session. Something as simple as holding a TheraBand and with your spouse, brings a family together. And that's something that's really, really important. So always include the family whenever it's possible. But they can see the success when someone is doing something, more, taking, steps with the rolling walker for the first time. It's life-changing moments that happen.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that feedback. And also, I love the way you kind of bring in the family and that whole team. And Tom and Michael, you alluded to that as well. It's really a team approach, team effort. Man, I cannot believe you guys, we are at the end of our session already. Emily, this was a good one. Like I knew, but we took a chance and asked for some big, important people in the community to come and join us since we're a new, baby organization, nonprofit serving the limb loss, limb difference community. And I was both honored and surprised that you all said yes. And so thank you for that. And hopefully we'll have you again this year, giving us individual hour-long sessions because there's so much that we could get into. But we wanted to have this roundtable discussion to introduce your organizations to folks in the community who might not know, but now know who you all are, to give you all some things to think about, know about these resources, and to really see that the resources that are available to you, they all care about you too, right? They all come at it with the same mindset. We're here for you, not just April Limb Loss, Limb Difference Awareness Month, but all year round. Emily, what do you think? There's so much that we learned today.
Yeah, it went by really, really fast.
It went by really fast. We see some thank yous in the comments. Yes, thank you all for joining us. Now, as I said at the beginning of our session, if you want to know more about each of these organizations, obviously you're going to get a recording on Friday. It'll be on YouTube. We will include all the links and contact information so that you can connect with them directly. If finances are an issue, please contact Amputee Aid so that we can help you. But also, we've got individually recorded sessions with all of these folks, and you can watch them on our YouTube page. So Tom, Michael, and Todd, thank you so much for making our expert roundtable inspirational. And thank you all for our new attendees and our old attendees and our experts. I saw Jay on here. You were a silent observer today, the creator of Slingshot Socket. Okay, hi, Jay. Thank you very much for joining us. Hopefully we did you well. Thank you for joining us. Jay was with us too for a whole hour. You can watch his session. But to have this amount of expertise and history with us, I hope that all of you, whether you had a question or were just observing and listening, that you're taking away from this session something that you can use, whether it's inspiration, a change of mindset, some reassurance that there are folks in the community who are here to support you. Hopefully you've all learned and taken something from our session. Now, next week, you all, we are going to close out Limb Loss, Limb Difference Awareness Month with a session with Alicia from Access Mob. If you want to learn how to create local advocacy groups, how to advocate for things like handicap accessible parks, parking spaces, accessible things on a community basis, whether it's just you, your city, your college, your community, your campus, come back next Wednesday, 2:00 Eastern Time on Zoom and TikTok. I haven't forgotten about you, TikTok. And learn from Alicia from Access Mob about how to create grassroots advocacy and organization. We will be doing a giveaway, and we will be back in our studio, The Draft. Thank you to The Draft, folks. You will be gone next week, so we'll be back in our regular studio, regular settings. But until then, we hope you enjoy the rest of this week. Take care of yourselves. Have a wonderful beginning of next week. Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Todd, for joining us on our expert roundtable.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Walking School. Have a great week, everyone. We'll see you next Wednesday, 2:00 Eastern Time on Zoom and TikTok with a giveaway and Alicia from